Hello and welcome to another maths video. In this video we're going to be looking at the idea of proportion, in particular the idea of proportion in terms of a recipe. So here we have a recipe, chocolate cake for 4 people. It tells us we need 200 grams of flour, 100 grams of sugar, 50 grams of butter, 80 grams of chocolate and 2 eggs. Now similarly to ratio, what I'm going to do here is I'm just going to start off by drawing a little bar. And we're being asked here to find out how much of each ingredient would you need to make a cake for 6 people. Now the reason that I'm just drawing a bar here is I'm just going to draw this bar to represent the 200 grams of flour that we need. So this is the 200 grams of flour that we are using for 4 people. So what we could say is that 200 grams of flour makes enough cake for 4 people. So what I could say is that if I split this into 4, so just splitting this box into 4, then by splitting it into 4 I can find out how much flour each person needs. So I've split it into 4 because there's 4 people. So what I could say is that each box or each part of my bar is worth 50 grams each. So if it's worth 50 grams each and that's enough for 1 person, I need to make it for 6 people. So what I could say then is that I need another 2 lots of 50. And so how much flour would I need? Well, flour I'm going to need 300 grams. So 50 plus 50 plus 50 plus 50, that was for 4 people, and on top of that I'll need another 50 and another 50 because I want to make it for 6 people. At the same time, similar kind of question here, how much would I need to make a cake for 5 people? Well, that would be 250. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 people. Now what I'll do is I'm just going to do exactly the same for all of the other ingredients. So now instead of having this box representing my flour, I'm going to call it sugar instead, and that's 100 grams. Now 100 grams has been split into 4 again because it makes the recipe is for 4 people, and that means that if I'm splitting 100 grams by 4, I can say that I'm dividing it by 4. So 100 divided by 4 means that each of these are going to be 25 grams each. So 25 grams each. For 6 people I'm going to need another 2 25s on top of that. So 25 plus 25 plus 25 plus 25 plus 25 plus 25. So sugar I'm going to need 150 grams. I could also think of this as 6 times 25, it doesn't matter too much. And then for 5 people, well, I need 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, so that would be 125 grams. 5 times 25. Let's do it for the next one. So for the next one, 50 grams of butter. So now my bar is representing butter, which is 50 grams. And so 50 grams split into 4. So 50 divided by 4. And that's going to give me 12.5. So each of these are now worth 12.5. How much am I going to need for 6 people? Well, I've got 4 of these already. I've got 4 of these 12.5s already. I'm going to need 2 more. So it would be 6 times 12.5, which would give me 75 grams. For 5 people, it's going to be 12.5 plus 12.5 plus 12.5 plus 12.5 plus 12.5. And so for 5 people I could say that butter is going to be 62.5 grams. Next one, chocolate. Hopefully you're kind of seeing the pattern that's forming here. So for chocolate, 80 grams. 80 grams of chocolate. So 80 grams split 4 ways is going to be 20 on each. And so that means I need an extra 2 20s for 6 people. So for chocolate, I'm going to need 120 grams. So that's for 6 people. For 5 people, well, I only need 5 of those 20s. So for 5 people, it's going to be 100 grams. And then lastly, so for 2 eggs, my bar is now representing 2 eggs. So if I split this 2 eggs into 4, that's going to give me half an egg is being basically used up on each person. And so for 6 people, I'm going to need another 2 halves on top of that. So I'll need, for 6 people, I'll need 3 eggs. And for 5 people, well, I'm going to need half plus a half is 1, plus another 2 halves, 4. Plus another 2 halves, 2. Then a half on top of that, so I'm going to need 2.5 eggs. I don't know how exactly you might go about having half an egg, but there you go. So I'm hoping that is kind of making sense. This is kind of just quite a basic idea of proportion, but people do kind of tend to get confused. I find it is helpful to draw up a bar like I've done, but there are lots of different ways in which you can do this.